so excited.
Welcome to the Lock Shop with Nielson.
It's time for Two Guys and a Goalie with Dustin Nielson, Matt Kassian, and the goalie, Joaquin Gage.
This is not the Lock Shop. It's also not Two Guys and a Goalie. We're dubbing today Two Guys and the Driver here on Edmonton Sports Talk. Thank you, Lieutenant Eric, for that one. Joaquin Gage, the driver in that one. Matt Kassian with you here. I'm Matt Awanek. No, Dustin Nielson. I don't think Cass knew that I was going to be here. But Dusty had shaking his head. We can't hear Cass, I don't think, right now. I don't know if that's us or
well, we probably
there
can.
We go. There we go. That's on us. Yeah. That thing needed to be open. Dusty had to go home. He was feeling a little off. So you're stuck with me today, Cass. How are you today?
I'm good. You know what? I've kind of been a little bit sick of Dusty, so I'm happy it's you today.
Have you been watching Formula One today, just like Gage, your husband?
Not yet. No, I've been too busy. I've been too busy, so I haven't had the chance to yet. But I was just catching up on the end of the the last season of Drive to Survive, and I was enjoying it quite. So I actually was kind of getting myself psyched up. I'm like, oh, this is actually going to be fun to pay attention to this again. And this time, to win another legitimate championship that I should have been given last time, but have proof of rules now publicly. So.
He did award it to you afterwards. He did eventually give it to you. I will say that.
You're just in it for the constructors, Cass?
No, I'm in it for both. I'm in it for both.
Okay, well, okay.
I'm in it for both. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
You didn't win last year.
He did.
He won the constructors,
which is a win. As you said, the word "win" was in there.
Yeah, but it's not. That's not the championship.
It's still a win.
Yeah.
There's two titles.
It's basically the President's Trophy. All right.
Yeah, and
I think we need to praise the President's Trophy more.
Yeah, we should. Why would you not? I mean, look at soccer in Europe or football in Europe.
Thank you.
And that's the big championship, right? Like that's the big thing. Is
that's you win the league. There's no playoffs.
That's the season. That is it. And I love playoffs. Like I really do. I love playoffs. I love the tournament style competition. Getting down to it, having to win with the pressure on. I love that. But there is something to be said to being the best team, because it's like, I mean, if we're looking at hockey, that's 82 games. You're the best team over 82 games. That is an important thing. It's a great thing, and we should celebrate it more.
Yeah. Only when you win it. Oh, that's good. Good one,
now maybe somebody this year goes out and does the sweeps the awards.
I'm sure the Boston Bruins just are thinking, oh, you know what, we got ousted in the first round, but we won that President's Trophy. We're awesome. Let's celebrate. Come on.
Is there a banner in their rink?
Yeah, I'm sure they love it. The players just look up at that and go, "Yes, that's great."
But it's not just for the players; it's for the whole organization.
Oh, right.
Mm-hmm. Okay. It's for everyone,
and for the fans too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hey, I will actually say this just legitimately: the President's Trophy does deserve more love.
It does.
To be the best team of now 32 teams through 82 games, a season that starts in October through mid-April, and you're the one team that didn't have that one stumble that knocked you down to whatever spot. You were the most consistent and the best for that entire time, which goes longer than the playoffs. We the President's Trophy deserves a lot more love than we actually give it.
And I think Well, last year you saw the record-setting season of the Boston Bruins, so that's something, and I think that's even more important than the President's Trophy, just having that type of season, like you said. But I think this year, the President's Trophy winner, it means a little bit more just because of the race that we see right now. There's like 5 teams all battling for essentially the President's Trophy to become the best team in the league. I think it means more now just because the point separate. We don't see a team that's at this time of year like 10, 15 points ahead of everyone else. Like there's 5 teams within what is it like 7 points? So I think
if you want to go 7 points, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 teams are within 8 teams are within 7 points. The Rangers are at 83 points, Canucks at 83, Panthers at 82, Bruins at 82, Jets at 79, Stars at 79, Abs at 77, Hurricanes at 76. The race for the Presidents this year is going to be fascinating to watch through the rest of the way because of how tight this is. I don't know of a time where it was this tight at the top.
Yeah, it's been a couple years. Can I jump in with this, guys? Because the PWHL, the Professional Women's Hockey League, announced their playoff setup. I think it was yesterday.
Yep.
They announced it in their formatting. And I just look at it, and I don't think the NHL is going to change anything. But there was the one part of it that I absolutely loved. Was whoever finishes first gets to pick who they play in the semifinal. To me, I'm like, that's unreal. Like, can you imagine? You want to talk about like making things more important? Like, what if if you win the President's Trophy, is like you get to choose your opponent each round until the Stanley Cup final?
Wow,
how awesome would that be? Like,
I took the devil's advocate side to this in the morning show today, where I could see how teams like GMs or coaches will sit there and go, that's a bad thing actually to have, because you're immediately giving bulletin board material to the team. You're immediately saying that of all the teams there, you're the team we know we can go beat. So bring it on. And like,
that just makes it more interesting to me.
Yeah.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, it makes it more interesting to me. I don't know. I think it could be such an intrigue. Yeah.
I like it too. I think it would be a great idea. Even with the bulletin board material, right?
It doesn't take away a little bit of, because like if you're number one, you get the last team. Everyone's going to predict that you're going to win, and inside you're going to think that you can go win. But now you're outright actually pointing at them, saying, "I'm going to beat you." You're like, it's like WrestleMania or something. You're calling like, we'll see you in the main event at WrestleMania.
Is it best of 7?
PWHL playoffs. I don't know if it's
best of 7. But I always thought it would be cool if the team that finished as the higher seed could pick whether they wanted to start on the road or at home. Right?
What would you choose? Like, okay, let's say it's Oilers Golden Knights. Do you want to start a series on the road, or do you want to start at home?
You're starting it at home.
Yeah.
You think so?
Yeah. I'm starting it at home. Yeah, you want that building mojo the first 2 games, because if you win the first 2 games, like the likelihood of you winning a series is incredibly high. I mean, it's the same concept of why do most teams shoot first in the shootout, right? Like it enables you to put the pressure on. And I think playing at home, most teams will come out and if you're starting on the road, they're going to say, hey, if we get a split here, we're happy. Right, if we come out of these first 2 games on the road and we're 1-1, that's a good scenario. Like to me, playing on the road to start a series puts more pressure on.
But doesn't that make you feel like it's better than to start on the road, because you're just looking for the split? Where the home team, you have to get the 2.
No, you don't. I don't think you have to get the 2. But I just think, no. I think the pressure still, you're putting more pressure on the road team, like by playing at home. I would start at home every single time.
Because I'll go, like, if I'm the road team too, let's say the Oilers Golden Knights, I don't like, how would this have to work? It would have to be like 2-3-1-1, 2-3-1-1.
Yeah.
I guess it would have to be.
Yeah.
But like then if you lose those first 2 on the road, well, okay, we always say you don't lose a series until you lose a game at home. So now you're coming back home. And all you have to do, you're just trying for that split. Whereas if you get that split, now that home team that's leaving their home going to the road is sitting there going, well, we now have to get a split at least. We can't afford.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like the idea of starting on the road more than starting at home.
I'm with you. I think if I just feel pulling a game out on the road, especially I'm just looking at the situation to Vegas, right? Like that building, the Vegas Golden Knights take a lot of juice from their fans. Like they're just the spectacle before, the way that the games go. There's a lot of extra energy for the home team, I think, in that building compared to a lot of other ones around the league. So pulling one out of Vegas, I think is really important. And then going home for possibly 3 games, I don't know. I'd have to, in that situation, I think I'm starting on the road.
PWHL, it will be 5-game semifinal series and then a 5-game championship series. Let's say you're the Edmonton Oilers and this rule of picking your playoff opponent was enacted for this season. Take the Canucks out of this. Canucks are the top team, but who would you take if you're the Edmonton Oilers? If we fast forward, jump to the playoffs, who would you want to take if you're the Edmonton Oilers in the first round?
Well, if things stood how they stood now, the Nashville Predators would be the first team I'd take, and probably the Los Angeles Kings second. I think they've beaten LA handily enough. They've played them quite well. I think there's maybe some questions around LA's goaltending and what's that going to do over a 7-game series with Rittich. And I think Nashville still, to me, if you can pick Nashville, you're picking Nashville, which really realistically, guys, in a scenario like this, the top teams are usually going to pick the bottom seeded teams.
Yep.
Like that's generally how it's going to work because they're generally the worst teams. Now the one difference would be like, let's say you had a team, like let's say, Calgary all of a sudden heats up and they win 20 games straight, set the all-time record heading into the playoffs for most games won in a row. And they've won, 20 games straight or 19 games straight. Do you think as top seeded team, you're going to want to play a team that just won 19 straight heading into the playoffs? That might switch it up. But if I'm the Edmonton Oilers and I get that pick right now, yeah, I'm choosing Nashville.
Over sure. LA.
Over LA. Yeah.
Okay. Gager?
I'm picking LA. I think they got mind control over them now. And you mentioned the goaltending situation. I think that they're better built. And if we're looking this, I don't know what Adrian Kempe, how much they said day to day last time I looked, but if he's not 100%, the Kings aren't even close to the team that they could be.
Well, yeah. What was it? I was on the morning show on Tuesday, I guess was because they played LA on Monday, and there were some people that were just immediately like they don't want to see the Oilers play the Kings because they've already beaten them twice, and just it's hard to beat a team a third time. I look at it where it's the Oilers just have their number right now, and sometimes the team just has a number, and whatever the Kings do, it's kind of the same. Everyone said that the Flames in the '80s were like the second best team in hockey, but the reason they didn't win more cups is because the best team in hockey was the rival. And the Oilers just kept meeting them and kept knocking them down, and they couldn't go to cups until there's that one year in '86. But I don't know. They're just in the heads of the LA Kings.
Do you think it's a style matchup too, Cass, to an extent?
But the LA Kings try to stylistically match up. But here's a reason I would pick Nashville and I agree with what you guys say.
The Oilers also own the Nashville Predators too. I'll just say that.
I was about to say they own the Nashville Predators. Leon Draisaitl absolutely owns the Nashville Predators, and they haven't played them in the playoffs to beat them. But LA, even those playoff series, even though Edmonton, we could say they own them, those were pretty tight series, and they were series that could have gone either way. And if LA is playing at their best, they can be a difficult team for the Edmonton Oilers to overcome, even if they advantage heading into the series. And I'd probably say they still would. I look at that Nashville team and I'm like, Leon's going to get 5 points a game. They're obviously trading Soros and their entire defensive corps and probably not just Soros, but they're probably trading Roman Josi to Edmonton. Just straight up, 1 for 2, for Kulak, those guys, and maybe a first rounder
with retained salary.
With retained salary, of course, that's going to happen. So you're not going to have Soros to worry about. But yeah, I think Edmonton owns Nashville equally, at least in the regular season, and I think LA is a better team than the Nashville Predators, which is where I would take Nashville.
I like that the PWHL is doing this just because
Yeah.
there's always those test leagues. And for the NHL, they often use things in the American Hockey League. But now you get to watch another league do this, which is going to have a lot of eyeballs on it. And there's the other rule change that they announced yesterday, which was the first overall pick going to be awarded by whoever gets the most points after mathematically being eliminated from the playoffs. Do you guys like that as a way of trying to deter tanking to a degree?
Yeah. Yeah, well, it deters tanking. It encourages team and still rewards teams that are trying to progress and move forward and play well. So I kind of like it. Now there's going to be a balance to that because it's like, well, what if a team is trying and is legitimately trying and they're just not very good, and they're mathematically eliminated early and they're like, not because they're trying to tank, but because they just suck. They're at the bottom and now they don't really have a chance at all of getting that first overall pick. So. Yeah, that's an interesting one to me. I think it's a little bit more tricky with the number of teams that you have, and even from a timing standpoint, because let's say you're a team that's fighting for a playoff spot. Well, like when is that cutoff going to be? Like, what if a team, they need two things. Let's say it's right at the end of the regular season, and they have one game left, and they need to win, and they need another team to lose to make it into the playoffs, into a wild card spot, and they win. And the other team wins, well, they had a 1,000 winning percentage after. And so, does that team that just missed out by, another team not losing to the playoffs, how are you're going to award them the first overall?
Well, they only get 2 points then.
Yeah.
It's points, not
total
points percentage.
Sorry, I thought you went percentage.
No, total points
total points
occurred.
My apologies.
Yeah,
I thought it was total percentage.
And that's where it's like...
No, that does change that. So, yeah.
That's where also like it comes in. If you're a team, this is where it'd be interesting to see. If you're a team that knows that you're going to be bad, you almost want to get eliminated as early as possible.
Yeah, take early and then try to
and then you start trying to win games because then you have more runway of picking up points. Yeah. And naturally, if you're having to play, let's say, 12 games because you're mathematically eliminated versus teams having to play 6, math would say you have a better chance of just picking up some points here and there. Gage, would you like the rule?
Yeah, no. Well, Cass likes it because the Ottawa Senators have the first pick over the last 4 years, wouldn't they? At this point, I like it because some teams struggle throughout the year, and then they start coming on late, and you should be rewarded for good play at that point. The Ottawa Senators are a great kind of example. Like they seem to struggle, finally figure things out late, and they always find themselves in that kind of neutral zone of where we played well at the end of the year, we struggled at the beginning, but that middle of the pack, you're picking like 12, 13, 14, where I'm not saying these players aren't great, but usually at that time of the draft, you're not getting a player that's going to make a massive difference. Your scouting staff has to be really on point to be able to grab a player that's going to be like NHL ready sooner rather than later and make an impact on your team.
This is credit to people on Reddit. Otherwise _COD _3478. He did just the Eastern Conference last year and how it would have worked with this method. He tried doing it. Columbus still would have been the worst team because they had 10 points. It would have been Ottawa instead of Montreal, number 2, 5 points. Buffalo then instead of Philly in 3 for 4 points. Philly instead of Washington at 4 points. Washington instead of Detroit at 3. Montreal instead of Ottawa at 2. Pittsburgh at 1 instead of Buffalo. And Detroit didn't get any points once they were mathematically eliminated instead of Pittsburgh. So it would have went Columbus, Ottawa, Buffalo, Philly, Washington, Montreal, Pittsburgh, Detroit. That was the East. And then somebody did the West, and it would have been a tie for 8 points between San Jose and Vancouver. Then Chicago, 5 points. Arizona, 4 points. St. Louis, 4 points. Anaheim, 2 points. Calgary, 2 points. Nashville, 2 points. So I think in the end, teams that are bad still, that need that first overall pick, they're still going to have a really good chance at getting it. It's just also then for the team that maybe had that injury that happens, that knocked them down a little soon, they might get rewarded because they're playing good hockey down the stretch as opposed to a team just completely offloading and really trying to tank. There won't be that major sell-off at the trade deadline.
What's the tie? Did we say what the tiebreaker would be in the case that teams are tied with points?
I didn't see that.
Head-to-head record? I don't know.
Maybe goals for then at that point.
Yeah.
Like if you are going to do based off performance, maybe you go like maybe goal differential or something like that. Whoever has that's full soccer right there. But you go better goal differential. Who did better at scoring goals and also keeping it out of their own net?
Yeah. Why not do goals against first?
People like offense more than defense.
I know.
Come on. This is two guys.
Goalie though. So typical.
This is two guys and a goalie, Matt Kassian, Joaquin, Gage with you here. The Edmonton Oilers defeat the St. Louis Blues last night in overtime. Connor getting the goal. Getting past the schneid. Not Brown, but it was McDavid. Cass, what did you make of the game yesterday?
Yeah, slow starting again. I was pretty worried. St. Louis plays pretty well when they have the lead. It took them a little bit. The engines started to turn there towards the end of the first, and then they played. I don't want to say they played perfect, but they played just much better the rest of the run of the game. Still a couple big mistakes that have
the slow start. It's a little bit the slow start. It's a little bit worrisome that this continues to happen. Yeah, they get things back, get things going. I liked the rest of the game went well. Like Zach Hyman, I mean, if he's in my eyes this year, Matty, he's the MVP of the Edmonton Oilers. His play, he's had the most consistent play throughout the whole year. He's been dragging guys into the fight every game. What was that stat where he scores his goals? Like 30 of them have come within 6 feet of the net or something like that.
Me and Steve Sandor were talking on, what was it, Monday night, and we wanted to do the full, we wanted to measure. If you added all of his distance of goals, does it get to the blue line if you just stretch it all out? Does it get to the, how far does this go? Does one Bush bomb equal 30 of the Hyman goals?
Yeah, probably at this point. I mean, he's amazing. I loved what he said, and kind of given the subtle jab to the media about, they were asking Connor about not scoring and things like that, and he just made he's doing something that we haven't seen in years. The possibilities of finishing with 100 assists, maybe you guys should be writing about what he's been doing over the last few games, 24 assists, 23 assists over the last little bit here. That's crazy. That's crazy. But like Cass said, we do look at offense as a higher standard than defense, but it's assists and goals. So what if you look at Austin Matthews? So if he finishes with 70, and say Connor does get to 100 assists, what in your mind is more impressive?
We have Cass back, I think, or did we lose it? Do we still got you, Cass? I'll let you answer that one first.
Yeah, I'm back.
I'll let you answer that one first from Gager. What's more impressive, 100 assist season plus, I guess, the other points, or 70 goals plus the other points?
I mean, they're both really, really impressive. I'm going to go with goal scoring, and the reason that I would go with goal scoring is you can still get secondary assists. You can't get secondary goals. There's 2 people that can get an assist on every goal. There's only one person that gets the actual goal, and so to me, it raises the weight of it and the importance of it. Now, if it was like basketball and there's only the primary assist, then I would probably weigh them mostly equal. But as it stands, I would weigh the goals higher.
What about 50 goals and 100 assists?
Well, 100 assists probably. Yeah, that changes it.
Yeah.
But if you had 70 goals, I mean that's
that's tough. I have to go with 70 goals too. That's playing with guys that score on a regular basis, even 35, it seems like they're scoring every game. And so it must be hilarious for guys on the Maple Leafs with Austin Matthews scoring this much. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
Well, I forgot what the stat was of just how many hat tricks he has. It's more hat tricks than some players have goals. He has 7 hat tricks or whatever it is this year, and that's more than X amount of people only have 6 or less goals this season. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Connor Brown only has 0, so
but
this one hat trick was all he needed. Just needed one. Just you pass Connor Brown.
Connor Brown does have a point in 4 consecutive months, as that was pointed out. So he's going to now once tomorrow comes, he's going to try to extend that to 5 straight months, and he's got 31 days to do it. And he did it. He did this one in a short month. He did it within less than 29 days. So
Yeah.
I hope it happens
Amazing.
at home for him because
The
I
goal?
think everyone will go absolutely nuts because it's like one of those jokes where it was kind of funny, then it got really sad, and now it's like rooting for it again, and it's kind of the running joke now. And I think most Oiler fans are like, I just want him to score one, just one.
there'd be a huge cheer for that.
Can you imagine? Like, I hope he does it at home.
Yeah,
Because like you could like the bench, even if the crowd doesn't go absolutely insane, the bench will go absolutely insane. Like
Yeah.
his teammates will go absolutely nuts for him, and I think at home the crowd would too. It would just be like, I mean, the wave would start instantly. It would be like, not like someone planning to start the wave. It's like it would just happen. It's like it would just manifest itself. Like just by nature of the impact of Connor Brown scoring a goal. So I really hope he does it at home if it happens.
Did
When
Dusty
it-
bring
when
up
it
the
happens.
wave on Tuesday with you guys?
no.
What is your guys' take on the waves?
No,
On the wave?
I think it's kind of dumb. I don't really like it. I don't really choose to participate
Did you
I
ever
don't
notice it as
understand what-
players?
on occasion, but you're just kind of like, oh, there's the wave.
Yeah,
And then you move on with your life.
never affected me. It affects me
No.
now because I'm a little bit superstitious, and the fact that I don't know. I think if the game is close with the Edmonton Oilers, and they start the wave like in the start of the second period up like a goal, I get frustrated. Like even I was at the game and they started the wave early. I have to put out that I did not start the wave, and I got more responses to that than anything I actually say constructive.
It's very polarizing.
Yeah. So no, I think it's there's a time and a place for the wave. Just with being a superstitious kind of guy with that type of thing, it should only be done end of the game. Looks like it's in hand, and that's when you celebrate.
EST Glue Guy did put out a poll saying, what are your thoughts on the wave? Yes, I like the wave. No, the wave stinks. 53% to 47% like the wave. It's very polarizing, very divisive. Also, are you an Office fan?
I haven't watched it.
Okay, good. Because I was just going to say you missed the chance to pull out an Office joke.
Oh,
and you
really?
didn't
Okay.
do it. So
Okay.
I was going to be upset with you if you're an Office fan. So
I like the wave. Don't get me wrong. I like the wave.
it's just
but
in a time and place.
yeah, it's time and place.
And Cass, you just don't care either way.
I just I'm more impartial to it. It's like I don't hate it. I don't love it. I probably leaned more towards the I don't like it as much because I'm just like I don't feel the need to participate in it. I don't understand. Here's actually you know what? Let me actually do the defining line for me on this. If the wave happens like naturally and someone goes like let's start the wave and they do it once and it takes on the first time that the person stands up and tries to get the wave going, great. That means people were into it. They were feeling it. They were loving it. They were, for whatever reason, they were excited about this and they just bought into it. But I have an issue when it's like the same guy or gal is up there and it's like they're trying for like 30 minutes to start the wave. And it's like, okay, let's try again. 1, 2, 3. Like, if it doesn't work the first time, just stop. Just stop. Like you're annoying. At that point, you just start being annoying. Like, and that's the bigger thing to me. It's like now it's gone from something that just kind of naturally, organically happened to you're just being annoying and you're forcing it and stop. So that kind of to me is like if someone were to start it and it happened the first time, excellent. Beyond that, just don't.
I like Cass's inebriated guy voice starting the wave. That's it's spot on for that guy too. It sounds exactly like
2, 3. Come on, everybody, we're gonna do the wave. I mean, it's Frank the Tank. We're going streaking. Like that's what. Like that's like everybody's doing it. Everybody wants to do. Let's do the wave. And then it's the same guy that's then going home. To whoever's at home, and he's just like, hey, guess what? I totally got the wave started.
You ever started the wave?
This guy. No, I've never started the wave.
Have you?
I tried once at the Briar.
At the Friar.
I
Love
was
that.
I was
Of course. Okay, I'm going to say, I don't
different.
think you ever have to say I started the wave. I was drunk. I think it's just like if you were sober starting the wave, you better be a kid.
yeah.
That's the only person. I think usually it starts with I'm drunk. Yeah, I did this.
Yeah.
Did you get it going?
No, everyone's too focused at the Briar.
Oh, but the Briar, see, that's different though, because that's not like a traditional wave environment. So I have all the respect for you to be like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna get the wave going at the Briar. Like, good on you. Go for it. Like that's amazing.
I'm
to
surprised
me.
they wouldn't go
Like,
for it. That's a good drinking crowd. And a party
No,
crowd, and they
not-
want to yell sociable, and they want to like do all that. So they're not social. That's yell something else.
At Northlands,
Maybe it is sociable.
it was dead quiet. Like there was clapping and stuff, but the Briar Patch was the party. You go over there, it's
What year was this? Like 99 or something?
no,
Like
that
90s, or was
that
this
would have
later?
been
Because they're known, like curling crowds are known for at times just like yelling things.
that was 2000. When was the Briar?
05.
05, yeah.
I'm surprised.
Yeah.
That's disappointing.
I know.
You know, next time the Briar, the Scotties rolls through town, I'll go with you only if we could go try to start the wave.
It was my brother-in-law's.
You can come too, Cass.
It was 10.
Well, we'll get EST is going to go to the curling with the intent to just do the wave on that one, and we don't care what time of the game is. We're just doing it.
Nope.
Yeah, it was my brother-in-law's birthday because we all had birthday shirts. It was his name's Sean. It was Sean Rocks, and we had like house symbols on the. I wore my Captain America belt buckle, so it looked like a whatever.
I work Capitals games, baseball at the ballpark,
Yeah.
and that was scoreboard next to the PA guy, and we got the wave going at each end, and it crisscrossed.
Oh,
Which was a lot of fun.
that's cool.
I wish it was a little bit bigger because it would have
Yeah.
had a bigger impact or something, but we had it going at each section, and it just kept crossing. We did that during a rain delay, too, so it wasn't during the game, so no one could get mad
Yeah,
about that
that's
part.
different too, because you're trying to keep people occupied in that. So that's different. That's different. Then again, like the guy that's just doing it so he can go home and tell
Okay.
whoever he's at home with to be like, hey, I got the wave. It's so cool.
Who's worse to you, Cass, then? That drunk guy who's trying to start the wave and just can't get it going but keeps going, or guy on the phone turning around, waving to the camera because someone sees him at home mid-play?
The wave guy.
Yeah.
That's way worse. Yeah, that's way worse.
Fair
Yeah.
enough.
Yeah, I mean it's annoying too. Like the turnaround guys and like that's annoying too. But I feel like it's not as frequent, and it's like they're doing it like once or maybe twice. They're not yelling at everybody standing up and trying to like physically throw their arms in the air. And so yeah, I mean they're both annoying, but still wave guy.
Let's get back to this game. You froze there a bit, and we lost you. Gage started talking about the slow starts for the Oilers.
Yeah.
How much is this a concern for you when you look at this team right now?
It's a concern because it's been a concern for like 3 years or 4 years where we see them go through stretches where the starts were a struggle. So yeah, I mean I'm concerned about it. It just is. I'm also confused by it because it's like you see how they can take over games. You see how they can play and how they can play quickly and aggressively and dominate for stretches of time, but it's like they just can't seem to do it out of the gate. And I was telling Tommy on the post-game show yesterday, I think for me, the most recent, like how I gauge my immediate barometer is what they're doing on the forecheck. Like if I see immediately right off the drop of the puck at the start of the game that they are able to apply a lot of forechecking pressure, then I'm like, okay, they're engaged in this one. They're going to be going here. But we haven't seen much of that. And gentlemen, I don't have a reason why. Like we've seen a multitude of coaches that haven't been able to solve it. We've seen different players haven't been able to solve it. So we kind of have to look at that McDavid, Draisaitl, Nurse, like your core guys, and say, hey guys, this is on you. Ultimately, coaches have tried to get you ready. You've had different coaches, different people. It's still a problem. They have to sort it out. I just don't know how you do that.
But if this team always has the ability, like right now, they have that ability to come back. They get going, they tie the game, they win the game. Is that not more important? The fact that knowing that this is a team that's going to just, in the second and third periods, for the most part, turn it on and put the goals in, and it doesn't really matter about the start?
Do you guys really want that in the playoffs?
Yeah, that's exactly it. It's going to run out. Not kind of the same thing, but look at the Oilers' power play last year, right? They was dominant in the regular season. I got caught up in it, and the fact that the Vegas Golden Knights could kill a penalty, or their penalty kill could kill the Oilers' power play. You just can't rely on one facet of the game, and they have to correct this because there's going to be holes that they're just not going to be able to dig themselves out of. If they go down by 2 against a good team in the playoffs. The guys are going to be playing too good. It's going to be too tight to get chances and stuff. And playing from behind wears you out longer. too, right? You're always trying to chase the game. You wanna be in the driver's seat more often than not.
So keep them fresher if they start figuring this out for playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, and just it's everything. Like that first period, I didn't think the Oilers were going to win that game. Leon makes, I think it was right before his penalty, he came across and a hope pass at the tops of the circles into the middle, goes back the other way, comes back into the offensive zone where he probably should have changed at that point, goes and takes a kind of a lazy penalty. What was it? That was, I think, the Nurse half block and the second goal, Connor's right beside the goal scored. It's just their attention to detail. It's all over that first period. And it's like, I don't know, maybe that's they get mad at themselves and fix everything after that. But yeah, it's not going to work from game 83 on.
We're a week and a day away from the NHL trade deadline. We'll see what the Edmonton Oilers can accomplish over that time. One player that they were rumored to have had interest in, at least, whether it was ever going to happen, was Chris Tanev, but he gets traded to the Dallas Stars yesterday. Cass, what did you make of that trade when you saw it?
I mean, my first thought was, oh boy, Dallas is good. I mean, they immediately solve what their biggest issue is, which is they've struggled a little bit in the defensive zone with their depth on defense. And so you just add a guy that's just going to help you be rock solid there. They have a ton of depth up front with their forwards. They can put up a ton of goals. And you have, although it's struggled at times this year, you do have the elite level goaltending at well that does have the chance or possibility of stealing the game if he's playing at his top level. So yeah, I mean, from a what they paid standpoint, I mean, it wasn't cheap, wasn't as expensive as I thought. Like I thought it was actually quite reasonable, a price to pay by Dallas, where I'm not like, oh man, Dallas really overpaid for that. But I mean, Dallas just jumped up a notch or two for, I think, they're kind of right close to or at the top of the list, in my opinion, of teams to beat in the West. Because, man, I think they're going to look really, really good with Tanev there.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's talked about Jake Ottinger, right? And that one series, I watched that whole series against the Flames. He was phenomenal. I don't think he's gotten back to that level since then. He's been really good. The Oilers haven't seemed to have an issue with scoring. I shouldn't say that. Jake Ottinger hasn't been the difference maker in games that I've seen the Oilers play against him, so I don't think that's a factor. But now with the addition of Tanev, and he was injured last year. I think he had one arm playing against the Oilers, and or 2 years ago he couldn't. He was completely ineffective. But this makes the whole back end better, and also a little bit of a cleanup mess if there's anything there. Makes it harder to go. He makes you go through him essentially to get a good chance, and then getting to Ottinger too. If he gets to that level, that makes it even a little bit more difficult if he can find that same form that he had in that one playoff series. But I'm still on the fence with Jake Ottinger. I know he's a good goalie, but I don't think he is as elite as they say, because it was just that one playoff series where we saw him really, really dominate.
The Oilers are one of the team he struggles most against career-wise.
Yeah.
5 games played, he has an .880 save percentage, 2-2-1. The only teams he has a worse save percentage against, if I'm looking at this correctly right now, the Ottawa Senators, .818 save percentage in 3 games. He's 1-1 in those, appearances, and then .880 with the San Jose Sharks. So the same as, and .857 against the Canucks. So the Oilers have something on Jake Ottinger there. The connection of the Oilers with Tanev was also that would be almost an upgrade on Cody Ceci. Do either of you guys see now someone on the market that is a natural upgrade where you would move Cody Ceci for, or do you just stick with Cody Ceci? And Cass is just shaking his head right there.
No, you can't. I've scoured through the cap friendly to see. I just don't think you're going to get the same type of defenseman at that price point. And Cody Ceci is a good defender. Swapping apples for apples at this point, I don't think that's what you want. I think you just want to solidify your D, because if you're taking out Cody Ceci for someone else, someone gets injured, you run into the same issues. You need someone like we mentioned, a Jason Strudwick
Yes.
type to come in as the seventh guy and be able to plug and play.
Gas?
Like, okay, so let's just go to this non-power play goal yesterday. Darnell Nurse chases behind the net, goes where he's not supposed to go, does it with really no logical reasoning for it. Cody Ceci's going to where he's supposed to go, which is the puck's on this side. That's my side. I should be sliding down here to defend, to cut a guy off at a post, so he can't just walk out and stuff it. But most of the texts we got in, and what most people will comment on, is they'll be like, "Oh, Cody Ceci, Cody Ceci, Cody Ceci," and we hear all the time, "Oh, you got to upgrade Ceci, you got to upgrade Ceci." You're not upgrading him, because to upgrade him, you're going to have to pay a significant amount more, and there's no way to move out that cap space without spending absolutely everything you have and more than you should from an assets out standpoint. You're not doing it. Like, it just is it always has been nonsensical to me to sit and to say we're going to have to upgrade Cody Ceci, because at this point, and Darnell Nurse, he at times when he's playing really well, he's predictable. When he's not playing well, he's very unpredictable in terms of style, where he just does things and you're like, what is he doing? Cody Ceci has figured it out better than most people, but there's still moments when I'm watching and I'm like, Cody just had to read off of something where I'm like, I have no idea how I would have read that, and with what he's seeing. And he actually does a pretty good job of it, but people aren't going to recognize that, and people aren't going to see that. They're going to see him going to the post at the goal yesterday and go like, "Oh, screw Cody Ceci, man. We need to upgrade and trade everything." And it's just not the answer. It is not the answer. And as Gager said, it doesn't leave you in any better position ultimately, because if someone goes down or something happens, you still have no depth. So to me, it's still like a 6'7" defenseman, primarily on that right side, that you have in case someone does get injured. That to me is your ideal or third line center. Those are kind of my two. You're probably picking one of those and running after it. But yeah, no, trading Cody Ceci to me just doesn't make sense. And I know there's lots of people that disagree, and that's fine, but you're wrong.
I agree with, like, right now, apples to apples, you don't just make that trade. But like, if the Oilers could have got Chris Tanev, would have you made that trade if that meant Cody Ceci goes out?
Well, again, if you can upgrade, like if you're going like a Chris Tanev to go, like, it's a definite upgrade and you can make the money work, yes. But then you still run into the same depth issue, and you still have somewhere else in your lineup that you have to address something. And now you might not have the capital to be able to do it, and the draft picks to be able to do it. Not to mention that for a guy like Tanev, he was with Calgary, who is just down the road, and the likelihood of them making a trade with you, I know it can happen.
Oh, I agree.
But it's a lot less likely.
They're not doing that.
A lot less likely that it's going to happen.
Anyone that says Ken Holland should have paid that price that Dallas paid, or Oilers could have done better, I just could imagine Craig Conroy sitting there going, I can't trade this piece to Edmonton if this is potentially the piece that gives them a cup.
Yeah.
Because the fan base is going to lose it on me.
Yeah.
The fan base is going to sit there and go, oh, you got the Oilers a Stanley Cup, and you're sitting there, well, but look at this prospect we got, and look at this first-round pick, but they got a cup? Like, there was no way in hell I think Craig Conroy would have ever given Chris Tanev to the Edmonton Oilers unless they were ready to give him, I don't even know what, like, Leon Draisaitl, like, it'd have to be something just absolutely ridiculous, because otherwise he's just using the Oilers to try to bump up the value. Because again, if that's the missing piece for the Oilers, and this is a year they go win the Stanley Cup, that's a rough selling feature to your fan base in Calgary.
Yeah.
Well, that's why you don't see trades between the two teams that often, and you don't see trades all the time in between the division. Yeah.
Do you guys know the two trades that the two teams have ever made against each other, with each other?
We just had the one. The Kulak was one, and then
not between the Oilers and the Flames.
No, not between the Oilers and the Flames. Not Kulak.
Wasn't it Luch and for?
Oh, so 3 trades.
Yes.
Sorry, there's 3 trades.
Yeah,
I forgot about that one.
Luch and Neil.
There'd be 3 trades,
one.
I think.
It was
Glenn Cross.
No, because he left.
He left.
On the. So there's Aaron Johnson and a third for Steve Stais.
Okay.
And
Right.
then
I forgot
Schmid for Brossois.
Right.
I forgot about the Lucic and Neal one. So yeah, there's been 3 trades ever between those two clubs. It'd be tough to, and none of those moves were major ones that were going to give a team a cup or something like that.
Can you imagine the front of the Calgary Sun with Tanev with holding the cup in an Oilers shirt.
Exactly.
That's what it would be.
And then Craig Conroy has to go and speak to the media, and he's like, "Oh, Chris Tanev helped the Oilers win a Stanley Cup." Yeah, but we got Bo Wakey, and we got a first, like whatever. Like we got Cody Cease, like whatever. Yeah, but the Edmonton Oilers, who already have 5 Stanley Cups compared to your 1, yeah, they just got their 6. Like it's not going to go well. If the Edmonton Oilers, in advance of the deadline next week, go get a depth defenseman a la Jason Strudwick type, that 7th defenseman you could plug and play, and somebody that plays in the bottom 6 of the Edmonton Oilers, is that a successful trade deadline for Ken Holland? Or does he need to do more than something like that?
I think so. Well, people are going to judge it based on how they play in the playoffs, right? Like,
well, people will judge it that day too.
Yeah, they'll judge it that day too. But that's going to be
Ken Holland got ripped last year for his trade deadline until all of a sudden it was announced that Matthias Ekholm was coming here, and then everyone thought he was the greatest trade deadline move he's ever made.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Gager.
No, I like Ken Holland. I was thinking about this the other day. What deals has he made that at the time we thought were poor decisions?
Are we talking his entire time here? Or just trade deadline?
Entire time here.
I think once people found out the bonuses for Connor Brown, that one upset people. There was everyone liked Connor Brown. They loved it on the 750. Okay. They liked that it was a bonus structured. But the moment the bonus came out, 10 games played, people ripped that move. Beyond that, Jack Campbell was praised at the time. Yeah. Let's be real on that one.
Yeah, it was like, oh my gosh, what a move.
Zach Hyman was ripped at that time.
Why?
For some people, the length of the term.
Length, yeah. Right.
That has panned out.
Oh gosh, that's the best.
Warren Fogle, Ethan Bear was ripped by a bunch of people.
Yes. Yep. That is really played out because you're trading away young defensemen at the time.
People loved Ethan Bear.
No, that was, you know why it was? It was because of the analytics. People were like, "Well, look at his analytics." No, that's why. That is 100% why. People were like,
"Analytics basically have him as a top 5 defenseman in the NHL," and I'm not talking like top 5 on a team. I'm talking like top 5 defenseman in the NHL. That's me being facetious. They weren't saying he was that high, but they were very much the analytics argument and the analytics community behind the Oilers.
Like, you can't trade Ethan Bear, but and Bear was a solid young defenseman.
I think your cable might be coming out of your mic or something. You just got really quiet all of a sudden.
It was. I hit it because I got excited.
Well, now you're still quiet though. That makes no sense.
Maybe did it click into your laptop, Cass?
Now, while he's working on it, I'm trying to think what other moves. Like, I'm sure there are some, and people will message us.
The Nuge deal was criticized a little bit too, wasn't it, for the length?
It was, but it was also praised for how cheap he got him, because everyone thought that was going to be a higher price.
That's not really. I'm looking at trade. Well, I look at all the moves. All the moves.
I will say I will go to the pre-COVID trades in Athanasiou and Mike Smith, and I defend him on those ones because we didn't know what was going to come. Like, your trade deadline, you're looking at the Oilers making the playoffs. It was announced that the cap was going to go up, I think, $7 million in January. Right. That's what it was announced. You weren't expecting all of a sudden a flat cap, and then all of a sudden you couldn't qualify him, and then you didn't get anything from Athanasiou. I will always defend Ken Holland for those initial moves because who predicted anything that was coming from those COVIDs? And they were praised when he made those moves. I guess the one argument I would have against that is that it's not about being praised. It's about, well, you got to make it right still, even if you're getting ripped. And like the Jack Campbell, ultimately, even though it was praised, he got it wrong.
Athanasiou didn't work out. Obviously, the Browns not looking great.
I don't know if you guys can hear me now.
Very quietly. I'm going to see if I can bump you up still, though.
I don't know what's going on. I tried. Settings look like they're good. I'll just try to eat the microphone.
Funny enough is I could hear the F1 cars that Gage has on F1 TV louder than you right now.
I criticized the Duncan Keith trade for not getting Chicago to retain any of his salary. I think that was horrible. I like trading for Duncan Keith. I like the trade for the player. I didn't like their non-salary retention. That was one I was critical of.
Well, and I will agree with that one. Yeah. I was too. And it was one where there was implications from that who knows what the team could have done And like while Duncan Keith was an asset to the Edmonton Oilers while he played the one season with the Oilers, helped them in that playoff run, it was cap management that was very poor. And could have they had an extra player? Could have they made another move at the deadline because of cap or whatever it might have been? That I still am very critical of that one because like when he says to Daniel Nugent-Bowman, what was I supposed to get him for free? Well, yeah. Like you almost could have type thing. Like, yes, no, you should have been able to have done that. But to your point, like off the top of my head, there's not a lot of moves I would say that Ken Holland has fully moved. And I'm sure, again, people are going to be ripping us, where at the time we were critical and he got it wrong and everyone else was right. Propane Pim saying Kulak was ripped.
Really?
Do you remember that? Do you remember if Kulak was ripped, Cass?
I can't remember if he was ripped, as I try to make sure I'm talking loud enough.
Yeah, it's pretty quiet.
I don't know.
I don't remember the. I just remember Kulak.
Okay, actually, I do remember. Well, CC was a little bit ripped when they brought him here because it was it an off year after the Pens?
Yeah, it was.
I think so, and everyone's like,
I think that's one for sure. Yeah, they were worried.
But Kulak's played well since being here.
Kulak's
right? Like in his ball. Okay, here's one. Darnell Nurse's contract.
Well, it was a perfect situation for Darnell. It was like he had 20 goals that year, was it? 20 goals. It was the bubble year. Clefbaum goes out. Looks like he's stepping into Clefbaum's shoes. Yeah, he got everything right, and everyone within his in his age bracket stratosphere of playing time and stuff, he was one of the top guys. So,
Cass, also people are saying that this is the analytics community music. They have found a way to silence you because that all happens as you're coming against the analytical crowd.
Yeah, sounds about right. I don't know if it's any better. I tried unplugging everything and plugging it back in. So
it might be a setting inside the computer. If you click sound and output, you might have your thing might have moved down.
I tried that, but we'll
actually
try again. I'll take another
yeah. I don't. I'm sitting over here, so I can't do full troubleshooting. Yeah, no, and the one thing about Ken Holland too, he does go swing at trade deadlines generally. He does make some moves. He does try, and you'll never have to criticize Ken Holland for being a guy who, didn't do everything he could to try to make the team as best as he could. You could disagree with what those moves could be, but you're not going into next week worried that it's going to be Jarrett Smithson for a third, right? With Tambellini, he's going to attempt to do something that is relatively significant to this team,
or make a huge blunder with like a Strome or a Koskinen signing. That was so funny because
which one?
The Koskinen signing.
Yeah,
because I think it was I forget. Dusty phoned into a show.
Struddy was filling in for Gregor that day.
Okay,
and they had Dusty to talk Golden Bears or something. And that signing came out, and I wonder if we still have the audio somewhere. But
that was hilarious.
Dusty was just like pretty much like, what?
What? I almost crashed the car I was driving. When I was driving, that was so funny. That was great. But, oh well. I still think Mikko thought it was 1 year.
That he thought it was the deal?
Yeah.
I think he was laughing probably seeing 4 years ago. And you want to pay me how much over how many years?
Oh, God. That's crazy.
I would love that contract.
I think we all would. Am I still quiet?
Yes.
Yeah.
Don't worry, we're almost done.
Yeah.
We're almost finished for the day, actually. We have just a couple minutes, and I do have to quickly ask Gager, and he could fill both of us in on this one. What have you learned so far through FP1, FP2?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
What do you mean you've learned nothing?
Well, this
guy was standing in front of the TV, too. Not even sitting. He was standing in front of the TV watching it.
Just looking at the tire compounds and how they're going through practice, there's a lot of movement in the top 10. We saw Ricardo finish first, and now we've got a Mercedes lockout in FP2. So we'll see about 3 tomorrow morning. I'll have to get up and watch that because you can take a little bit of these. I thought it would. Maybe I'm just used to seeing Red Bulls up there consistently, but to see them lower in the pack and some other teams moving forward and then back down. It's I got to get home and start crunching some numbers and changing my teams around.
But when do we have the deadline for the teams? Like, isn't it locked?
No, you can watch all 3 practices up to qualifying. So tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock is when qualifying starts. So as long as you have your teams selected by then, I think I'll in our pool I'll do a little video on the chips too, because not everyone understands the chips.
I don't understand a lot of this stuff, but
It's your own fault for not understanding it. Spend 5 minutes and figure it out. I'm just mad my microphone isn't working.
we can still hear you though. We heard you there. You were mad at me for not figuring out the chips and all that. It's okay. I'll figure it out, and I'll take home both titles this year.
I got to say, Mad Quiet Cass isn't as menacing though.
It's all that analytical crowd. It's all that they're just coming at you there, Cass. Oilers 2 games this upcoming weekend. They've got Kraken on Saturday, Penguins on Sunday at home. Quickly, Cass, we'll try to hear you. What do the Oilers get done in the next 2?
Let's go 4 points. Why not? Little mini winning streak for sure.
4 points from Matt Cass, and that's his prediction. Gager?
Yeah, I'm with Cass. 4 points.
You heard it here first. You don't even need to watch the games now. It's done. You can just watch the F1 this weekend. They've got you covered. That was 2 guys and a goalie for the quiet Matt Kassian. For Joaquin, Gage, I'm Matt Iwanek. Thanks for tuning in today. Coming up next, it is a replay of the Nielson Show, and Dustin and Eric, they'll be back tomorrow morning for live content right here on EST, on TuneIn, on iHeart, on YouTube. That gets going 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. Thanks for tuning in. We'll talk with you later.